Just so you know. Everyone shuts up.
Don likes talking to Siri.
Got quiet in here all of a sudden.
Or next week's what?
Lottery numbers.
Eric, are you 5 pounds lighter?
All right, everybody, it is 7 PM, so if everyone's cool with it, we're gonna call this meeting to order. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you and welcome to everybody. Next item is going to be the roll call. If the clerk would call the roll.
Trustee Pappy. Trustee Haas. Trustee Abedlin,
Here.
President Gerke,
Here.
trustee Dorwart,
Here.
trustee Bartz,
Here.
trustee Miley.
Present. All right, sounds like we have a quorum, so we,
Bruce here on
he is not here. at the
not
moment.
yet.
No. We will continue on. Next item is the consent agenda consisting of the minutes, the general fund, water and sewer invoices, and then liquor license renewal applications, as well as an application for a fireworks permit from Chrome Fireworks. It's a lot.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any of these items? All right, if not, then I will call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Feel like that was like 2/3 of our agenda. we
That
just
was so
passed.
much work.
Yeah.
It's the best thing.
All right, Next. yeah, right. Next, do you have any public comments from anybody? Hearing none, we'll move on. Report on operations of village by the village president. I don't have anything major to report other than what we did on Flag Day, and I just wanted to say thank you to all those who participated and stepped up to do different things. I think it was great for the camaraderie of the village. A lot of work went in different things, the floats, doing the marching, the candy, all that stuff. And for those of you who don't know, we ended up winning best of parade, which was just absolutely awesome. So there's part of our float that's standing back there, the flag, and then our little trophies. So thank you, everybody, for participating. It was really a cool event. Didn't know that we would be as successful as we were, but it was a lot of fun. And even though it was raining and that was my fault, we just forget about that and move on. All right, so other than that, I don't have anything. Absolutely.
I just thank you for your leadership and putting this together in the first place and including us as a team.
Yeah, for sure.
As a group. So I thought that was really awesome how everybody worked together to.
Yeah, I mean, we had great comments from people and just a lot of acknowledgement and stuff, so it was really neat. And I know that Chris was looking at the Lions faces last night that we won, so. It was perfect.
Can I add to that?
Yep.
I'd like to shout out to Aaron, because without you, we wouldn't have won. Thank you for your vision and helping us make it fun.
Right. Now I will move on to the village administrator.
All right, first one, the mic is working, the control, the not loud enough. When Michelle is listening. All right, hopefully you can hear me now. So I have a long report, so I'll just try to run through it as quick as I can. We've gone through our strategic planning process and the little group that we put together of stakeholders. Doing very well. We've outlined our mission, our vision statement, strategic priorities. And now we're getting a little bit more than nitty gritty, right? What are the things we want to see in this community over the next 25 years? And then a little bit more methodically, we're going to dial in of how would you get there with some of the people. So that's exciting. We had the preliminary audit results and then had our audit meeting this past week. So we're got a few things to our treasurer. It's maybe wasn't always her favorite part of her job. I give her a lot of kudos for going through with us, telling good feedback during our meeting that we had this week. And we're going to get a follow-up meeting with our auditor in about a month Just a quote of some items going into 2023. See a lot of updates with public safety, but I'll let your chief talk about that. I know we've been busy. Our alcohol permits, all that, the whole process went well. There's part of any expands on that, but thank you for her work, diligently following our ordinances and state law for that. I spent a lot of time on the long-term road and utilities plan, in conjunction with our DPW director, and a few other partners as well. That'll get presented next week at the public works meeting. And then from there, I'll do a larger presentation to you guys at our next meeting. All of that is important because it helps to highlight the actual capital projects that we want to be prioritizing, and we'll be building those into our budgets about the next week. And on the economic development front, the village president and I have meeting with Captain Schilling that got off pretty well, and the director of economic development, talk about some of the help that their body can give us as we continue to move forward. I want to point out some news. So I talked about the last meeting, shared revenue. The shared revenue is the amount of dollars that we only get from the state, and it's their share of sales tax dollars that they share with us. What went through the House and the Senate was an increase, a 20% increase in shared revenue costs. That got passed by both the House and the Senate. So fingers crossed, it'll get signed by our governors, and we'll see a significant increase in those intergovernmental dollars, more than we've seen in over a decade. Pretty exciting. Other news, I want to point out the transportation budget. The lead municipality gave an update on the transportation. We're going to see an increase of about 2% in transportation aids. Again, that's not huge, but it's better than nothing, so we take that. And then the most exciting thing, at least from my perspective, and I printed off this memo and I put it at your desk. This is about Assembly Bill 264. So in effect, what they've done, they created a revolving loan fund through the state, through WIDA, and it will cover the cost of installing, replacing, upgrading, and improving infrastructure that's related to workforce housing. And workforce housing, if you look at it at the bottom, is defined as a household that's no more than 40% of area median income. So we've been talking about affordable housing rights, smaller homes, first-time home buyers. Well, this is now going to be a program through the state that can help us build those infrastructures. And then we don't have to lay that cost on the developer, and we have to lay that cost onto the future homeowner, which I think our village president can expand upon, but that'd be huge in helping us to develop our property. So it's really exciting to see the states taking that into serious consideration as well. And then finally, I have my normal report in front of you. I didn't point out last meeting, but your finance chair, President Costi, had asked me to add a section down at the bottom. And so you'll see our primary accounts, leaving out deposits and direct expenses and any account. So I just want to point that out, that was in the detail that he asked about that report, and that is there as well. I think that's it.
Yep, so I'm gonna add one thing on that, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I just had an email that came through not long ago from one of my business partners talking about this workforce housing package that passed. And just to, add a couple of different things, different bills that are in this. One of them is a residential development infrastructure loan program. That's going to also, it's a loan program at the state level for the infrastructure, the water, sewer, and all those things to help developers do that. There's a Main Street residential housing rehab loan program. So again, low interest loans for rehab of second and third story apartments. Whether or not that's all that relevant to what we're looking to do, it can be argued. The third one is a vacant commercial to housing conversion loan program. So converting those vacant commercial buildings into possible housing. Those are also loans. Then a land development, residential housing and zoning ordinances that will require political subdivisions to approve certain permit applications related to residential housing developments. Not sure on that a whole lot, but then the WIDA thing that Chris was talking about as well. So not only will this help developers come in, but it'll help it'll help people that are looking for homes too, right? Even if they are the larger homes or the increase in price, it's gonna help. It's gonna help bring those costs down because of the decreased costs of development. So this is gonna be really, really good. Assuming that it gets signed by the governor, which I have heard that it will be. So a lot of cool things going on, especially as we look forward to what we're trying to do here in the village and some different development opportunities that we have. So thank you. I appreciate that, our administrator, and hopefully everything keeps moving forward the way we think it is, and everything gets a little bit easier here, and we can add some more housing units to this community. That was very long-winded. We will move on to the village marshal. His report is in your packet. Any questions on the report there? If not, then we're going to move on to the report from the fire chief.
So you should have my notes and package in your packet from third month of May. Yeah, joint fire practice with Wellington and Belgium. EMS training, just kind of skipping around here, but EMS training, our EMTs all relicensed up for the next 3 years. So that was a good goal that we set for 3 years ago. This is the first time that we've done all our training in-house. We always have technical college or refer over the technical college, have that community talk. We teamed up with Laura to be able to do that. So it was a good thing. Everybody got through it. Everybody realized to get it in another 3 years. We had a cool joint fire training with Belgium and Waukesha. Regarding propane emergencies, actual live propane fires and going in and putting them out and extinguishing them. That was pretty cool. And then Sunday we had 2 guys that on May 21st that spent their day out at the firehouse to do the post testing. And all our third-party company agents that ended up creating. Down there to help that all with that. All responses, Chris alluded to, been very busy. We had 3 fires in a matter of about 12 days, 14 days. Business in my church down in Belgium, that was about 8 to 9 hours that our team, that were fire crews that spent down there. We had residents in the town of Belgium down along the way. Also that burned, that was about 6-hour fire for us. Then we had a garden fire in the town of Belgium, that we spent over 13 hours there for that. So a lot of time, a lot of efforts from the volunteers put in for that. The outcome of those incidents all didn't turn out the way you would want them to, but I can tell you that that automatic aid, that simulcast page that we're doing with Water in Belgium right now is really benefiting us. The lack of volunteers, having all 3 fire departments respond at the same time is starting to work really well. Teams are showing up, they know what the goals are, and they're showing up in sync with each other. At all the same time, very good. I was over at the Wellington fire. I was one of the first ones that was actually recognized. Jason pulling the yard at the fire. Wellington's engine comes in, they're always right behind it. Our takers right there. A lot was taken right there. It worked perfectly. So that was a good thing. It's working well for us right now. Ambulance call responses are 20% over last year. It's been crazy. The ambulance is crazy, ridiculous, busy right now. I think we're over 35 all over the rest here this time right now. So, you see the call volumes then on the next page. Little updates, and going on with this now, little updates on our paramedic program. We actually have a new layer. I have a start date of 26th of June. So he will be here. The work part-time for us, and I'm actually getting into the 24-hour shifts. We won't be paramedic quite yet. We probably got about 3 weeks before we'll get our okay from the state to move forward. So it'll be a learning process to help us get set up for us the way with our supplies that we need, our bags and kits that we need. So actually, it's a good thing. It's a good move. Was able to purchase a vehicle finally. We get a vehicle purchase, so we'll pick that up tomorrow. From DBS, and then we'll be taking it after the signing in detail, and then check it out for work and communications for that. That's probably what we do for the waste of those.
What kind of vehicle?
Forest. It was a youth forest for the UDS.
Good.
So that'll be our, what that's gonna be used for is gonna be our paramedic spot immediately, not have to wait for the ambulance crew. They'll be able to take off, get to the call, start administering medical aid, and, so we can reduce our response time.
Any questions of the fire chief?
No, just huge kudos to you and your crew for all the hard work that you've been doing lately. I know it's not easy. But this is good. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, certainly is.
I have one other question. So we're still short though on EMT and fire manager.
I will have to be certain.
What's that?
I won't be certain right now.
How many would you think that you need to get up to speed to just be not behind?
I would say I'd probably take another 10 more EMTs, and I would definitely take another 10 to 15 more firefighters. They're available. I mean, right now, I mean, I can tell you right now that my roster will show that I've got 35, 37 people on my roster. But in reality, we probably have a dozen to 15 that are showing up at those calls. My average call volume or average number of people responding to all those calls is what call. It's not a lot. That gets me an engine out of the house. That gets me a chief responding. That gets me a teacher responding. And then I have a couple of people stage back at our station to help out if we got any of the call. That's it. I would love to have all 15 more firefighters. As far as the EMTs, another 10, so that I can spread out my volunteers that are currently working right now. We've got guys that are taking 3-4 shifts a night or a week, I should say. That's a lot. You're asking a lot for volunteers over time for their family. Running from 6 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, 3 to 4 nights a week. It's a lot of time.
So when you say 10 EMTs and 10 firefighters, you install basically on all.
Yes,
Yeah.
all volunteers, yes.
And I'll add that the paramedic program, we estimated it with 3 full-time
Yes.
people. So the
Yeah.
hire that you talked about is the first of those 3.
So we get those 3 full-time, and what that's gonna do for us is allow us to take our volunteers and instead of having 2 volunteers on every shift, we're only have to have 1. Just gonna spread them out a whole lot more and stop burning.
Thank you.
Anything else from the fire chief? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next, we'll move on to the Public Works and Wastewater Treatment Plan report.
And here to field any questions you have on your packet.
So with the water pressure that we've had with the fires and flushing hydrants, how do we help succumb that for the future? Like, what can we do to make it better?
More water, not well. Power.
What do you think is more imperative, another well or another tower?
I think you could get away with a well, but eventually, I mean, it's the elevation that's the problem. You crank it up anymore, the low end, people are gonna have. You don't even turn the faucet on and the water's spit everywhere. You go on top of the hill, you go on top of it. So,
Did we ever finish that loop across the north end?
yes,
That's done and connected. Was that at 12 and 8?
but the problem with that is. Your feeder system coming from the water tower is a single pipe. It may be 12 right out of the water tower, but then it's coming up 6. So. A lot of our. Problem.
No, water was much worse before the water.
I mean, I think it's a long-term discussion, but yes.
So I took that afternoon when the fire departments were doing the full of water, they were pulling in two spots, one down by the wastewater plant, which would be low end, and then up on top of the hill by St. John's. They weren't, it wasn't like they were both pulling at the same time, but to pull 3,000 gallons out of there over 6 minutes, it doesn't drain the pipes that are up there, but everyone's connection is usually at 10 or 2 on the pipe. That little bit of water, and that's where they're starting to suck the air.
You know, pulls all the pressure out of the head.
So after the fire department was done full of water, President and I went up to, I think it's Fox Glen, right in the middle. And opened up the hydrant, water was nice and clear, because it's. They're pushing it. And it went from throwing it 4 feet to 3 feet to 2.5, and we watched the sprinkler go from full down more than half.
Sure.
It's an issue.
Yeah.
And this is why we have hydrant equipment for cross connection, because that is where you'll get the cross connection.
And I think there's been discussions, as Administrator Jenkins talked about with the infrastructure and the road program, road replacement program. And in there, you know, part of this is, again, you increase the pressure on some of these old systems and they're just gonna cause more water main breaks. So it's kind of a collective thing. How do we work together to not only get more water in the system, but then also make sure that once we push that water in there, it's not breaking. So there's different elements that go into it that we're all kind of trying to work on at the same time.
So you'd like to put more water into the system at a lower pressure, or at the current pressure?
Put more water in, but instead of on the same line, somewhere else.
Yeah,
Help fill that.
yeah.
And I know this would be in the future, but you have a 12-inch main going across 57 and feed that subdivision when that develops. If you have a 6-inch feeder going to it, we'll never be able to feed that subdivision. Let alone if there's ever a fire, they'll never be able to pull out of there.
It's a lot of fun things to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, I spoke with Eric, I spoke with Josh. So there's also some alternatives that we can look at. We could invest some dry hydrants at some of the local ponds down on Meadowlark, you know, if it's deep enough. I know that down at the pump farm, down on Hawthorne, they had approached us about putting a dry hydrant in there. That's an option as well. You know, spend $6,000 to $8,000, definitely don't have to potentially come into the village to utilize the water.
Or not so much.
Not so much.
Right.
The other alternative is Newburgh Fire Department invested some money in that. Was that they had moving my notes, but they put downtown Newburgh. They put in a cistern type 2-tank system down there that filled with low capacity well. Fills up 70,000 gallons of water they have sitting underground, and then they put a pump system on it to pump up and fill tankers. So it's a system that's underwater and stores for fire purposes. But there's some other alternatives that you know, that you can put Band-Aids on if we don't have money. That's what we have to do.
Do we ever fill out of that dry hydrant on the river?
It's full of sediment and it's garbage now. So we tried to pull out of it that night of the barn fire, and they ended up going across into the park at the whole traffic there because they couldn't get it out.
This system that you talked about in Newburgh, is that kind of a low cost system then?
I want to say it was around $70,000.
Well,
But I did get an email from the chief from Newburgh probably about a year ago, hearing what they had. And then had all the engineering specs, and everything all in it. I thought it was pretty cool, you know. Keep it in that pocket.
You still have that by chance?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you want to share it. Will be very interesting to look at. All right. Anything else from Eric?
Eric, do you just want to give a brief summary about the clarifier? Because that's a pretty important
Yeah.
item.
All right, we have two final clarifiers at the plan. And what they do is we can split the system in. And it just helps with the flow schematics of the whole plan. So we have the east and the west one, the west one, on Saturday, June 3rd, 3:56 p.m. when the alarm came off. Mike was on call, Mike came in. And he could tell something wrong because what that does is some of the sediment settles to the bottom of the clarifier, the clear water goes over the top, which goes through the rest of the plant. On the bottom, it's, if you want to call it a broom, swing arm vacuum. It kind of sucks the rest of the sludge out of there to get it out of there, so we're not building up. So there's a counter arm and then there's a suction arm. The counter arm, the hole came out, which came from age, which got caught on the suction one, which once that came round, it tilted it caught the trough, cleaned out the garbage, which then nothing let loose and everything went with it. So
You mean the ramp?
the counter arm. So you have the one on the bottom, and then you have one on top here that grabs the garbage off the top, and then you have the other that balance it, so in case something happens, it won't flip over. And when it came around to the trough with that old pot under there, it tweaked it a little bit, and everything just caught on that trough arm and bent everything. I don't know if you still have the package with all the pictures. But you
Not
just-
on me, but yeah.
Bent all metal on that arm.
Yeah, I went down and took a look at that. That was pretty rough.
So it's, right now, we're okay. We're sending everything to the east clarifier. The only bad thing I have is if flow goes up, if we have a heavy rain, we're gonna flood.
The good thing it's not moving.
Yeah, there's no way that one clarifier can handle.
So we had a contractor take a look at it. We have two prices. There's a cheaper repair. That's like $70,000. And then there's a replacement that's like $140,000. We have two financial options that we're debating. One is that you do have a sewer replacement fund, has $500,000 in it, right? That's why it's there to replace these things when this happens. Two, we're checking into an insurance claim option with our brand new insurance company that we just signed up with. And so we're going through the steps with them to see if this is even a claim that we could do and how much it would cover. So it may or may not be worth it, but we figured we'd take a shot at that first before we spend a bunch of money. So just know that that's going on, and we'll get back to you when we can.
So the cheaper fix would be to weld two arms on the counter arm and then trough arm, and that's it. The fix would be the dome comes off, so everything comes out and goes in. And the life cycle of these clarifiers are 20 years, and the last thing I saw on them was 89.
On both of them? That's outstanding.
And there was some work done, I believe, on the one that went down in 13. And then there was a quote in there for 70,000 to update it, but I don't think it ever went through.
So needless to say, budget season is gonna be a lot of fun.
Well, I have it all laid out for good news.
All right, well. Eric is not on the finance committee with this. Anything else?
So it's good stuff to me.
I appreciate all the hard work you're doing. I mean, you guys have been doing a good job getting everything done, so thank you, and thanks for always being there to do different things throughout the village whenever we need it.
So knock on wood, our SCADA system worked. They called us out like it was supposed to, so. It's good.
What's the remaining lifespan on that, you think? If there's none left, you're just lucky.
again, that's a 10-year cycle on that, and I think we're on, well, it had some issues. Spring, I just think because of the high flows and everything coming on, turning off, the power outage didn't help it. It is backed up right now, so if it would go down, energetics could come and reprogram one. But I didn't hear pay for it. And then you're going blind. Then there is no phone calls anymore, there's no monitoring, no numbers. Look outside and make sure it's not overflowing.
New system would have a lot more bells and whistles, right?
We upgrade the dialer. We go to a cellular dialer, so it's actually on a computer, they'll dial right away instead of going to a phone line, which. I know when I was in Saukville, if that phone box got hit. There was no dialer, or if it did, it called and you didn't know what it was. And how many people are reinvesting into hard lines and house. And so the what was there now would be a backup, so if the computer would crash, we'd still have the backup data. I wouldn't get rid of it, it's $5,000 for a dialer.
And on the SCADA, just so you know, that is an agenda item on next week's Public Works meeting as well, so we'll be discussing.
Yeah, we're gonna have other stuff to monitor too.
Any good news for us?
Not raining.
The guys are working great, oh, and the truck broke down. But,
Yeah, all right, we're gonna move on to the clerk's report. All right, any other questions for Eric? All right, let's move on to the clerk.
I don't have anything to add with, a normal busy couple of weeks.
Excellent, thank you for all you guys.
Oh, thank you for all the alcohol renewals.
Oh,
That's
I'm
not the alcohol renewal. Sorry.
I'm forgetting alcohol.
That was a huge amount of work, and I'm sure all of the vendors in Fredonia will be very pleased to hear that they've been approved. So thank you.
The office was really nice.
It does.
Oh, yes, and it seems to be working out for everyone. Yeah.
Awesome, all right, we'll move on, the treasurer's report is in your packet. Are there any questions on that? All right, if not, I'll move on to the Ozaukee County District 2 Supervisor.
So the only thing I have to report from the last meeting that we had is the EMS budget is down another $100,000 due to United Way. Position that they felt had to be funded. If anyone wants to look at the way I voted on that, to be quite honest, it was quite a debacle in terms of amendments and then being brought back forth and voting. So if anyone wants to check on that, I can explain why I did what I did, but was an amendment to vote the resolution up to $200,000 that I voted for. Hope that it would pass so I could kill the whole thing. So you will see that I voted yes on that, but then I voted no on the whole thing. Over $100,000, so that was my reason behind it, if anyone ever wants to question that. So what I'm currently working on, I met with Brian, and I'm currently in the process of working with Chief Bill Rice. But what I want to do before this money gets to be just handed out for every pet project that there is out there, I'm going to be bringing a resolution forward that's going to take the remaining balance that's left and split it equally amongst 5 municipality departments and being done with it. We made a commitment. And I think that's the #1 priority this county should worry about, the ARPA funds, and if we can't do that, then that's just embarrassing, in my opinion. So that's what I'm gonna do here in the next couple months, hoping to have it in front of the board in August and take a vote. But now there's some talk about with this shared revenue plan that's coming out from the state. They want to see how that shakes down, so I gotta jump through some hoops to try and get it on the county board agenda, but I'm sure I'll get it done. So that's where we're at. So like I said, again, still kind of very disappointed with what's going on up there right now, but continue to try and keep our focus on what's important and to keep driving that direction. So we'll see where we get.
All right. Any questions of Josh? All right, we're going to move on then to the items for discussion and or action. So First is a motion to approve resolution 2023K. Which reviews the compliance maintenance annual report to be submitted to the DNR for 2022.
I'll move to approve these in here.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? If not, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have a motion to approve DPW and building permit fee schedule changes.
Where did this come from, or why is this a thing right now? I don't want to explain that.
Sure, Eric, do you want to take a look?
So some of the fees that were on there were from previous director. I'm not sure if they were deterrents to keep money from coming in. Because some of those fees and the prices and everything were way out of there. I aligned like the subject caller and also for like the parks for campers. For some reason, it was stopped. It's easy revenue because the equipment, everything's there, they do the work. We take a little bit of money. So that's where the holding tank fee was adjusted. The camper fee, I believe, was $10 before. I just asked him to reinstate it.
Are these up, down, are these up, down overall, or? The
The
same?
holding tank fee previous, it was like a $200 discharge fee a year, $200 permit a year, and then it was $20 per 1,000. I think on that $20 per 1,000 gallons, we were the highest in the country.
So it's lower.
So I eliminated some of those fees. They still have to pay a fee to register with the village. Provide liability insurance and receive a key so they can get into the gates. The fee is at $8 per 1,000, which would align it with Stockville and Grafton. I'm not sure what the port does, because the ports. A lot of people don't want to drive through downtown.
I don't think they really.
Yeah, they don't like going down there, so we're in line with the area. I know there's some haulers because we have Wapaka that does not have a sewer system.
So just to clarify, I know the whole fee schedule's in your packet. This is the only page that we're really looking at right now. The biggest change in the philosophy of how we do things is in regards to the dumpster. So you'll see that on their spring and fall week-long bulk dumpster. So currently you guys have a dumpster that gets dropped off 3-4 days, once in spring, once in fall. We advertise about that going on, and Eric can verify 70 to 80% of the traffic that we get is for people outside of the village, bringing whatever they want. The dumpster is not very heavily guarded. It's just outside the DPW shop. So anybody at any time can just drop off their stuff. So what we're proposing is that we have a dumpster now, again, once in spring, once in fall, for a full week. It gets dropped off by the treatment plant. So that way it can be more guarded during staff time. We'd have a dedicated person there watching it. And then we would charge a fee to do that. It's not like this fee would help us replace all of our costs. It won't. But really, it would help us replace a little bit of our costs. And two, it helped deter non-residents from coming, right? When a resident drives up and says, I'm here, drop off their stuff, we're going to be verifying their ID to say that, yep, you live here in the village. Here's your sticker, and you're good to go. So again, changing location, a little bit longer time period, it would be guarded, and we'd be charging a fee for something that, again, your village residents have been used to being for free. So that's the conversation that you can have.
So that is going to be the biggest thing, I think, is now it's going to cost something for people to do this. However, if you do look at the municipalities around us, I think Grafton charges $25 a truckload, right? So I mean, it's other municipalities are charging for it, and it's $2,500 every time we do this, right?
Yeah, so they give us a breakdown on the dumpster itself, but we pay that.
Yeah.
So the question again I have is, if we've got 70-80% of people that are coming out of town, do we even need to offer this anymore?
It's still requested quite a bit by the residents here. I know Michelle could probably help me on that. Calls.
a lot of calls asking when it is. People missed it and they were very disappointed. We hear a lot about it.
So I tried to line it up this year that it was after the rummage sale, so it kind of benefited them, obviously, because now there's stuff outside. You know, bulk stuff, it's not just regular garbage, it's supposed to be for bulk, couches, mattresses. I was told previously it was always run in the spring for a week and in the fall for a week. I'm just trying to eliminate a free for all. And hopefully in return, instead of having 7 dumpsters each week, we could bring it down with the lower cost to help everything even itself out. I chose the wastewater plant not only as a camera, but it is gated. Also too, that's where they can dump their garden stuff, their compost. So they know where it is, the site is, it's not hidden. So that's why that location was.
I kind of question the hours from 6 till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're gonna do that like 5 days a week?
4.
4? That's gonna cut out a significant number of the village people that are home and can actually get there. Now, during working hours and travel hours and all that.
You are correct, and then also could be a nuisance for people outside the village bringing stuff.
Well, if. You know, maybe we shouldn't do it at all, if that's the problem.
Yeah,
because if we can't serve all of our own people, then we're screwing some people, you know, because, well, we're not open. We would have to do. To add an expense, a minor expense, we would have to do a Saturday.
You got it. The biggest thing is having it in.
I mean, is that reasonable as far as work is concerned? Because we have to.
think so.
Yeah. I don't know, I mean, everything else I pretty much agree, but I'm not a fan of the $25 for it. I mean, I think there's a better way to do it than just $25. I mean, pretty soon people are, I mean, after what we've gone through, and look how much harassment we got with taxes going up. I mean, how much more are we gonna nickel and dime people for something? I mean, I get it, it's only $25, but it's like, after a while, it's just like, I'm paying for, what am I getting?
I mean, if the $25 is mostly for a deterrent, I mean, we're already putting it behind the gate.
No, not even for deterrence, more of. Monitored. I printed off everything I have with me of what's for recycling charges for, you know, a couch, the dumpster and that. For one item would, and it's by the wall, and obviously it'd only be people that want to use it. Yeah, I was just looking at different ways. Trying, pictures, we had 3 dumpsters full within 5 hours. And that was during the day, because I had people driving and having shop at 6 in the morning already looking for it. They didn't get there till 8. And then. When we left at 4 o'clock the next day, I had another dumpster full, dumpster there, put it all on the ground.
I don't have any problem with moving it to, like, say, a more controlled area, because I don't doubt that it gets abused over there by anybody going by. I just think, you know, I agree with John, where we need to make it available to, because I mean, I'd say a majority of our residents don't work here, we commute. I'm one of them. I'm walking from 5:30 in the morning to about 5 at night. So I'd be totally excluded from that group, unless we do, you know, a half a day on Saturday. That would be, I'd be agreeable to something like that to accommodate those that work outside the community, which is probably most of the community.
Do you have to be 25? I mean, I guess.
$20 is a nice round number. That's one bill. $20.
The same.
I paid $20 to get rid of a box spring mattress. And I'm cheap. I'm tight. I would pay that to get rid of a box spring mattress. I don't think it's unreasonable to charge. Now we charge. Not that we're gonna pay for the dumpsters and all that, but now offset a little bit, then. Yeah, and I agree with there too. I think our costs would go down, you know, it's less abuse, less dumpsters, less cost.
However, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If we're doing it on a weekend, that means somebody's gonna be there on the weekend, and then we're paying somebody to be there on the weekend. So we're
To get a That's your flip side. You don't have to be here Tuesday or whatever, you know, take a day out during the weekend.
So Eric and I did talk about that. I mean, the benefit of this only happening twice a year is that we could be flexible with enough with our staff to, you know, to make those hours.
At 11:30 and then you work till 7 o'clock, 2 nights out of the 5
Yeah.
quarters. We could be creative that way.
So the guys are more than willing to flex their hours, but I know some have a bad taste on their mouth from previous administration, previous board that, well, then we don't have to pay overtime. Now you just come in here and I'm like, so far. And I don't want to go down there and go with the guys because I think everything is running smooth. So. And then the caveat to that is, I know when we have the 100th anniversary for the fire department, the Midori run, and then if we do this here, the guys are more than willing to help out and say, all right, I'll take off Monday and I'll work Friday, so there's no overtime to help set up for the fire department stuff or the Midori run. So they're more than willing to help flex, they just don't want it to come back and bite them and then say, oh, then why don't you work Friday, then we don't have to.
You don't want to miss their normal overtime, like water break, tank breaks and snow.
And on that,
I understand.
part of it, they're more than willing to help out the village with that. If they take off a little early, to not take some of that over. So they're more than willing to help, but they just don't want to come back. Well, we did it before, now do it all the time.
I don't think this is really right for us to vote on yet. I think we can bounce a bunch of stuff around and.
That was just.
And get it, yeah, yeah. It's a good idea, I think. Pretty much everybody else around has a big yard with a fence around it to do all of this stuff and that firewood and, you know, everything else. So seeing that we don't have it, we'll have to borrow from the sewer plant.
So if that's kind of the feeling then of the board, you know, the other option that we have is to approve this without having the dumpster be in there at the moment and revisit that at a later time.
When's the next, Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend or something? or-
And sticking like the week after that.
The week after that?
Week.
Yeah, maybe come up with something that we can do. These for we did on this, we got different on it.
And I talked to the administrator about it too, if, since this would be a new fee, of also maybe bringing a recycling dumpster there. Or an electronics dumpster that they're able to dump one item. I mean, I had 2 TVs down there. But
Can we get a hold of that e-waste guy that?
Well, those are probably things that we can look at as we move forward.
That's a community discussion.
Yeah. So how does the board feel about the rest of the items? These,
With everything. So I would word this. I agree with what you said. Approving it without.
maybe with the exception.
So I'll make that motion. Approve the, the suggested changes minus. Yeah. Approve the building. DPW and building permit fee schedule changes minus the $25. fee.
For the dumpsters. All right, that's a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion in a second. I think we've pretty well discussed it to death, so.
We're gonna bring it back up again.
I would say, can I ask what are you looking for us, from us between now and next time we bring this up? What other information can we provide for you?
Or I think we should refine the plan for the dumpsters, hours. You know, even if we bring up the fee again, I think, you know, that'd be.
The hours.
Something we can think about, but I think it's mostly the hours and availability to the residents. How are we gonna execute? So, because right now we're kind of double hitting and like, hey, we're gonna charge you extra. For something that normally was, in the past was not charge for, and we're gonna make it really hard to use.
Sounds good. And I'll just add, just so, in an unrelated note, I forgot to mention that on the residential building side, we did, when you guys approved the fee schedule a few months ago, we neglected to add roofing in there. And so we had our first roof permit come up, a little bit ago, and looked at our fee schedule and said, oh, hey, that's missing. That's why you see that, before you too. Yes, so we confirmed with your building inspector and the uniform dwelling code, and this would be a permittable thing.
It's permissible, but
Yep, so you have absolutely, you have the option to not do it if you don't want to, but
well, it was like concrete driveways, people would keep their driveway in gravel because when we didn't charge them property tax because it's unfinished, you know. So we took that off to whatever, and all the concrete driveways, so roofs need to be replaced when they need to be replaced, and the harder we make it, the longer it takes to replace them. But it's up to the board, that's the reasoning behind that.
Yeah. And then
And
I'll
it's not, it's replacing what was there.
And I'll just counter, no permit means no inspection, right? So if you have a faulty contractor to come in and do the work, well, we are now not gonna inspect it.
That's a suit.
Yep, absolutely.
Isn't that in this motion? It's included. in the
Yeah.
fees right here.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that we didn't skip over that, so.
I wouldn't want to get into a re-roofing from them. I think that's superfluous to what we need to do.
So where do you stop with that stuff then?
Just for roofs,
Just roofs?
yeah, just roofs.
And the next time something comes up, you just, maybe not that one either. I guess what I'm getting at is you can pick these things apart, but there's a uniform dwelling code for a reason, right? And not that you need to do it, but there's reasons for these, so I guess that's what I'm getting. I don't like paying permit fees at all. I'm a contractor, right? But
I'll make a motion to amend the motion to not include the roofing fee.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? Then we're gonna call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion carries. All right.
Motion and amendment.
We'll move on then. The next item is a motion to approve the hot asphalt paving of water main.
We approve. We have a motion, amended motion is on the floor. We have to approve it.
Okay, that's right. We have the amended motion. So now we will be calling the vote for the amended motion. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unanimously.
I'm sure Michelle would have. Jumped up and down about it.
You may have. All right, now we'll move on to the motion to approve the hot asphalt paving of water main breaks.
I will make a motion to approve that just to get it on the floor.
Sounds like a plan. We have a motion,
A second.
and I have a motion and a second discussion.
All right, did you get a chance to contact the Dollar General
Not yet.
and see? I think it's not an emergency to get those. They've got full patch right now and it's, not the best. If we can combine the thought is to combine them putting in the driveway for Dollar General and do our holes too while we're there. We get rid of most, if not all of the transportation machinery and stuff and whatever. We'd probably get a better price, because that's a lot of money to fill up a number of squares, 18,000.
Yeah, and I always have to ask, why do we feel this is necessary right this second? I mean, we've got it written on here that we could push this till 2024.
It is something we could budget for.
Yeah, well, if you can't get a good deal from Dollar General,
Who's doing Dollar General's driveway? Who's doing Dollar General's driveway?
I don't know who it is yet. We'd have to contact Dollar General, whoever the expediter is or whatever. You talked to him before?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
let him know about it. We can. Tell him we can help them defer the cost too, the bigger project, unit prices go down. I think we could probably get. A good $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 not cost that price.
so keep in mind if we do that,
Sure.
if we do that, those staff is that to prep those sites. So the company wouldn't
Yeah.
dig out, right, and clean up those areas to prep.
We would normally do that, we prepare the sites, anyway. That's something we can do in months. We didn't do that a lot prior to now, but we didn't have the workforce we had prior.
Well,
I mean, would that be a problem to get that accomplished on a schedule?
Well, then with that, then. The price that's in there is for them to do everything. So if they come in on Friday, they dig it out, they pay it. So that quote can be adjusted if we're gonna do the work. Now, on that, remember, one of those is in a business parking lot. That's gravel rate.
So I mean, there are things to consider with all this, but I think I'm kind of. Maybe the correct thing to do is to go back and say, hey, if we do prep this, what is that gonna look like as far as the quote goes, and then also talk to Dollar General and see what their plans are. To get some more revised quotes. I'm not against necessarily doing it. But I do think that we should get all our options.
Yeah, we need to have it done before.
So
Sooner would be nicer, but
the break that happened on North Milwaukee and Fredonia, that never got patched, and if you drive over it, you can see what's happening, everything's caving in. So I fielded a complaint on Tuesday about that, because it's getting rough. If we keep pushing these back with just a temporary fix, I'm going back now another 6 feet to fix more of the road that's caving from not being fixed correctly. Do we have to do it this instant? No, of course not. Normally, we don't have breaks in summer. This is when you fix stuff with the winter.
our biggest problem right now is we really don't have the money. You know,
Understand.
we can maybe sneak it in if it's reasonable. Wasn't that filled with slurry?
What's that?
Was that one that?
No, the story is in cold patch.
And then-
So last one we had on island, they put the cold patch down, pull over with the back. So if you drive over it now, you can.
Have we looked into talking with any of these companies about doing contracts? So like Mac Paving will contract with the Village of Saukville, that they're the ones that are there if they need any patching work or anything done like that.
I know Mac was in for Saco, but Mac lost the big contact that everyone dealt with. Then he went to Sporting County. So I don't have that contact anymore.
Yeah.
I know Kiox is starting to move in and he was actually cheaper bid, but yeah, I can work. with anything to make it cheaper, because I need to know I'm not gonna go and cut it all up and then put quotes there for 6 months, because we're waiting. I mean, will it make it through the summer? Sure. But then remember, now it's our equipment, we will fix it again, driving over and trying to plow that.
So on that point, Eric and I talked about this because this is our first kind of big RFP process that we did, where we had to get 3 bids and all that stuff. So, he came to me and said, oh my gosh, am I gonna have to go through this every time we do a project that's more than $5,000? And kind of technically, yeah, that's what our financial policy says that we do, unless you guys, like we do with Kunkel, we go out for an RFP, let's say it's a 1-year contract with a dedicated contractor, right? And they do all of that stuff for us whenever we ask. And then we just, again, go out for RFP and test the waters every time, that term is up. So yes, that, either one's an option.
I thought they raised that to 25,000.
What's that?
I thought they raised that threshold. to
Public
25,000.
construction is 25,000. The village's policy, because if it's more than 5,000, we collect 3 bids, 3 estimates. Yeah.
Well, that's something that we can fix.
Yep.
So right now, though, we're looking at the hot asphalt paving and the water main breaks, to approve or that. So let's just keep that clear and kind of move on with that. So are we prepared to, one way or another, do you want to move on with
Mr. President, then I would ask to table this. I will call him back and ask, okay, if I rip everything out, get it all prepped for you, then we'll come back. So I would think that it could, potentially $5,000.
Yeah, okay. We will still have the mobilization cost, but that's not all that bad. Okay, I move to postpone this to the next meeting. It's like 3 weeks.
All right, we already have a motion and a second on it, right? So we need to act on it. So let's call the vote then on that, right? All right,
That motion was to approve it.
the motion is to approve it, just so everyone's clear,
Okay, the motion is.
That's a vote, yes.
It's not clear, so if we approve this, if we vote to approve it, then we can't heal it. So,
We would move forward with the bids that we had cleared.
right? If we approved it.
If we approve
okay,
it.
No,
okay,
a motion to amend or postpone is a superior motion to the one that's on the floor right now. It's I would make a motion to postpone this to the next meeting, if that be enough time, you need 2 meetings, next meeting, to the next meeting.
And I'll try to make contact with Dollar General's project manager at that time too.
Mhm.
So you're amending your motion?
Yeah. Well, that's not amending motion, that's just a motion for the phone. That supersedes the motion.
Oh, I see, okay. So we have a motion to postpone.
second,
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Moving on. Then. We now have an approval of approval of certified survey maps, CSM 23-1 and CSM 23-2. This is in regards to 2 different CSMs that are before us, that came before the planning commission on June 5th. One of them is for the industrial park. You can. One was in the industrial park to parcel off the big parcel that we had that initially was not done when we first approved the industrial park. And then the second one is a request on Martin Street. There is what's now one large lot that they are looking to rezone, which we have a public hearing that's going to be happening for. But to split this up and approve the CSM into the 3 lots that will be made.
I still have to do the zoning. I'll make a motion to approve the CSM. Land division.
For both CSMs.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. I'm gonna do that separately, we'll just do this.
Okay, so we'll do approval of CSM map, so D subsection A would be the one for Martin Drive. Is that what your motion is pertaining to? Okay. So I have a motion for that,
Second.
and I have a second for that. Any other questions or discussion? Call the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next approval will be for CSM 23-2.
Motion to approve CSM.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. At this point, we are in order to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19-85, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, conducting other specified public business whenever it's part of the bargaining reasons required. A closed session. So. Thank you.
Second.
Take breath.
All right. I have a motion. All right, I have a motion and a second. We'll call the roll. Start with Josh.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
aye.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. We're in closed session. That's great. It's being recorded. They got you whacking your own head too. All right, we are now back into open session.
We wanna tell him.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah, maybe.
Give them the option.
Yeah,
Any other reason.
I just see Eric is. Oh, there we go.
It's a newspaper guy. I think so.
Well, that's good. Since Brian goes, the newspaper's not here, right?
We get a different newspaper guy.
There you go.
He probably knows.
Oh, hello, Village of Sox.
Didn't want to see how. Story.
Here, we're all concerned you're from the newspaper.
Yeah.
I think the newspaper guy just watches the recording, so.
That are now posted on your website.
So behave, everybody.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, Tom, there you go. All right. Our next item is discussion of possible action on the developers agreement.
Make a motion on the developers agreement as discussed in closed session.
I have a motion.
Second that.
And now I have a second. Any other discussion? All right, I will call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, do we have any correspondence that I know about? No? And any items for future consideration by the village board? Hearing none, we are in order to adjourn. Second. A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. We are opposed. Motion carries unanimously at 8:14. We are out of here.
A little bit too. I just want to see what the smell is.